embody it, it is very, very crucial to their existence. Meaning that there may be those, or there are those, that say God, but there is a certain perception, there's a certain understanding, there may be certain experiences. And because of that, it could lead one to disbelieve, discredit, not acknowledge, or associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we think of our brothers and sisters in Gaza, when we think of our brothers and sisters in China, brothers and sisters in Sudan, in Kashmir, in Yemen, all over the world, we say brothers and sisters because of that initial belief in the oneness of Allah. And when we think of them being taken away and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taking their souls and taking their life, it is the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the oneness of God, the acknowledgement of Him, and the epitome of that acknowledgement by doing the actions that He has legislated, i.e. Islam. That is the most important thing. The most important thing is that one has the oneness of Allah in their hearts and minds. And many times we hear this, and let's be honest, in our minds we think, we've heard this before. Yes, I know that Islam is the oneness of God and that Muhammad is the last prophet. I get that. It's one thing to get it, and it's one thing to live it. It's one thing to get it, yani to understand the faith of Islam, but it's a whole other challenge, or dare we say opportunity, to live it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what was recited in the previous chapters was basically verses that ensure or acknowledge His rububiyyah, and His uluhiyyah. So the scholars of Islam, when they talk about God, you'll find some of them categorize God's lordship or God in regards to the human being into three categories, and some say two. It's important to know that when we talk about Islam to people, there is an easy way to explain the concept of God to them or to the young men and women. We say that God is the creator, the sustainer, the maintainer, the control of all things. Once you know that, that leaves a certain universal responsibility. And that responsibility is to worship Him or to show gratitude to Him in the way that is most befitting to Him. So there's creator and there's creation. Everything other than the creator is creation. And the creation knows voluntarily or involuntarily that there is one creator. What do we call this acknowledgement of a creator? Who knows? In Arabic, in English. The fact that every human being has what we could term as a GPS or a motherboard. That fitrah, exactly, the fitrah. Every creation has a fitrah. Meaning that they know that there is a creator, one. And meaning that there are certain characteristics with each form or genus of creation. Unless you are a Neanderthal, you are not going to eat with your feet. You're going to grab with your hands. That's fitrah. When you see a predator attack a certain type of animal, that's fitrah. It is what Allah has naturally put inside of you. You don't have to learn it. This is fitrah. From the fitrah, this natural inclination is that we know that there is a creator. What was recited were many rhetorical questions. أَفَرَأَيْتُمُ الْمَاءَ الَّذِي تَشْرَبُونَ. Allah asked a question. Do you not even look? It's the way he's reciting these, the way these verses are mentioned. It's like Allah is telling you, are you not even looking? Are you not even thinking about? Do you even ponder? أَفَرَأَيْتُمُ الْمَاءَ الَّذِي تَشْرَبُونَ. Do you not look at the tasty water that you drink? أَأَنْتُمْ أَنزَلْتُمُوهُ مِنَ الْمُزْنِ أَمْ نَحْنُ الْمُنزِلُونَ. Are you the ones that brought the water down from the clouds, or are we the ones that brought it down? Simple question. In this chapter, simple questions he's asking. And this is easy for the Muslim to relate to their children, to relate to people that don't know the concept of God in Islam. This chapter is easy and it easy for the fitra to accept. When you look at the sky and the heavens, I'll never forget, subhanAllah, when Katrina, how many familiar with Katrina, the hurricane? Katrina, the hurricane. I was coming back one summer from Medina. It was my first summer coming back from Medina. And that's when they made this documentary called When the Levees Broke. If any of y'all seen it, y'all need to watch it. It's a very good documentary. It's called When the Levees Broke. Basically, that which was the damned, that would block the water from entering the city, when they broke. Because it was a hurricane, and then it became the flood in Louisiana. Sheikh Omar Suleiman was there at that time. I think he went back and he did some relief work as well. So maybe have him come and do a story on that experience. But I'll never forget when I was at home, and it wasn't to ridicule my mom. Wallahi, it wasn't. It was an innocent question. I was sitting there watching the documentary with her. I said, Mom, really, let me ask you seriously, Mom. Was Jesus able to do this? Was Jesus able to do that? And she said, what do you mean? I said, is Jesus God? She said, yes. I said, well, was he able to do this? Like he himself as a human being? She said, don't put me in a corner. Abdul, don't put me in a corner. Right? So I said, I'm just asking. Was the creator of the heavens and the earth able to do this? Yes. So when we look at these basic questions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is posing to all of creation, from them, do you not look at the water that you drink? Are you the ones that bring it down from the skies, or are we the ones that send it down? Just the water, just water in and of itself. Water. Look and ponder over water that you drink, that it comes down from the sky. And then, as we know, the ecosystems, it takes place. From the best water to drink is spring water that comes from the ground. The holy water, if you will, Zamzam, comes from in between two rocks that initially came from the ground. All of it is a provision from Al-Khaliq Al-Raziq. You cannot do it with your own faculties by yourself. No form of creation can create. No form of creation can bring ultimate benefit to creation. It is only initially and ultimately, meaning in the beginning and in the final end, from the Creator. A basic concept that all of us may subconsciously know, but when we think about it, there are people out there, even amongst Muslims, that may directly or indirectly think other than Allah, and sometimes associate partners with Allah. There is a type of kufr, or disbelief, or ingratitude, because kufr can mean ingratitude or mean disbelief. They call it kufr ni'am, to be ungrateful for the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. So when we look at our life and we look at what it contains, we look at our organs, our anatomy, yani our body parts, and our physiology, the functionality of each body part, and we know that we ultimately don't have any control over our own bodies, that should really cause one to think, what do I have control over? If I can't control my own body parts and their functionality, I really have no ultimate control. Who is the one that has ultimate control? What am I doing to show gratitude to him? That is why, brothers and sisters, the first pillar of Islam is a pillar for a reason. That Allah is worshipped by himself, and that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was sent to remind people of that worship. So this beautiful chapter is reminding us about the basic foundational principle of life, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-Khaliq, and he is the one that is created, and he provides for creation without our intervention, as he is providing for us now. And he is al-Mudabbir, that he has control over all affairs. And you find scholars use these three a lot. Khaliq, Raziq, Mudabbir. The creator, bringing it from non-existence to existence. Raziq, after he or she is created, or it is created, even it, Allah provides it with his sustenance. Wal Mudabbir, that provision of sustenance, when you will be provided, when you will not be provided, that is all up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All three of those and many more when you look at the beautiful names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So may Allah azza wa jal, may Allah the gracious, the merciful, the magnificent, the sublime, may He make us of those that recognize His greatness and allow this greatness to shine through in our minds, in our hearts, and in our actions. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.